to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. Thank you guys for subscribing to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. Thank you for your love, for your support. I appreciate each and every one of you that have supported this YouTube channel. I actually don't take it for granted. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Okay guys, so in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to cut and sew this inbuilt neckline blouse. So you can see the picture up there. So basically the emphasis of this video is the neckline. So I will show you how to cut, how to draft, cut, and then sew it. So that's what we're going to learn how to do today. So the measurement that I'm going to be making use of, the bust is 42, the shoulder is 15, and then the waist is 34, the under bust is 33. So these are basically the measurements I'm going to be using, and then the full length of our blouse is 25 inches. So if you are new to the channel, you are highly and very welcome. If you have not subscribed, please, I would appreciate if you hit on the subscribe button and then hit on the bell also on the side to get an update whenever I upload a new video. And then if you want to register for my online classes, you can just see my number scrolling through the screen. Send me a message on WhatsApp. I'll give you the details of all of the classes we have presently available. You can follow me on all of my social media platforms: Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, all at Stylish Naija. Okay, so this is the fabric that I'm going to be making use of today. So I have about 2 yards of fabric here. Okay, so it is a blouse, so you can see the fabric is really pretty. Okay, so I'll just keep that on the side, and then let's get started. So I have some lines on my pattern paper which I am going to explain. So those first line that I have here, this is going to serve as my shoulder line here. So this is my shoulder line, and then the next line that I have here is my bust point line. Okay, so this is my bust point line, and then this second line here is my under bust line, and then I have my full length of the blouse. So when I'm going to still extend it a little bit. So the next thing we're going to do now in drafting this blouse, we're just going to draft a basic bodice. I want to make it very simple and easy for all of us to understand. So let's draft a basic bodice. So the shoulder we're using is 15 inches, which is 7.5. So I'm just going to mark my 7.5 here. So I hope you can see. And then I'm going to add just 1 inch allowance to it. So from this point here, I'm not going to do a shoulder slope. So you note that I'm not sloping the shoulder yet. So here I'm going to mark my bust, my armhole line. So for the armhole line, I'm using 8, which is 16 divided into 2. I'm just using half of my round armhole. So I'm just going to do my normal. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to add now is my bust measurement. So if 42 divide into 4, you have 10.5. So I'm going to come to this point. I'm going to mark my 10.5. I'll add it here, and then I'm going to add my allowance. So I'm add as much allowance because I'm still going to take out that from this. So I'm going to add as much as 4 inches. Okay, so I'm just going to elongate the line here like this. And then for the under bust and line, for the under bust, I'm making use of 33, which is 8.5 divided into 4. So I've got my 8.5 right here. So I used about 4 inches allowance before. So on this part also, I'm going to just still maintain my 4 inches allowance, and then I'll connect like this. And then for the waist is 34, which is 8.25 divided by 4. That's 34 divided by 4. This is 8. I'll just approximate it to 8.5 here like this. And then I'm going to add, for this down part, I'm just going to add about 4 inches allowance to it. Okay. Okay, so we are done. So the next thing now, we're going to start working on our neckline part. Yeah, at the inbuilt neckline. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, I'm going to mark out the yoke. If you notice, you know that this dress it actually has something like a yoke, like a Queen Anne yoke. So I'm going to determine how many inches I'm going to use for my yoke. So for this, I'm going to use about 8 inches for the yoke. So it depends on how deep you want it to be. So this is 8 inches. I'm just going to rule that 8 inches. I'll rule it across like this on my pattern. Okay, so I've marked my 8 inches for my yoke. My pen is running out. Okay, so I've marked my 8 inches for my yoke. That's the length. So the next thing, because this is an inbuilt neckline, I'm going to extend, depends on how high you want it to be. So mine, I want to extend it by 2 inches. So you can see that my pattern, I already have my 2 inches here. I made it available while I was drafting. So I'm just going to extend this line, this armhole line. I'll extend it. So I've increased my neckline. That's to the top, to the knee part of the neck. So that is, I added 2 inches. Depends on how high you want it to be. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to mark how wide do I want my yoke on this part. You understand? So how wide do I want it to be? So for this, I'm going to use about 4.5 inches. I want it to be about 4.5 inches. That's from the nip of my armhole for about 4.5 inches here like this. So this is my 4.5 inches. I'm just trying to mark it. And then on this top part, I'm going to mark how my neckline, how wide I want it to be on that top. If you notice that part, just take a good look at that picture. So for this, I'm going to use about 2.5 inches. Yes, so I'll mark my 2.5 inches, which I'm going to connect with a straight mark like this. Okay, so you can see I've connected it now. After connecting it, this line, I'm going to elongate it, and I'm going to still stretch it. So I've stretched it now. So the next thing now we are going to do now, this whole part, I'm going to cut off this part. This part, I'm not going to be needing this part. So for this down part now, I'm going to deepen my that's the chest part. I want to make it a little bit deep. So in making it deep, what I'm going to do depends on how deep I want it to be. You know, this is my standard shoulder line. So for this, I want the depth to be about 9.5 inches. If you notice, you know that it is deep. So I have my 9.5 inches here, and then on this part, depends on how wide I want this to be. So for the width, I want it to be about 4 inches. So that 4 inches, so that's what is made up of that curve that you have. So I'm just going to mark it like this. Let me use my pattern curve. So I have that curve here already here. So this whole part, you know, we're cutting it off. The next thing now, if you notice that inbuilt neckline on this part, it has a kind of an extension, like a small, the part is cut out a little bit. So for that now, we're going to measure afresh how many inches you want to cut. Just take a good look at the thumbnail, you understand what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to come like this now for this neckline. So for this part, I'm just going to check on this part. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to use about 3 inches. So at the end of the day, I have about 6 inches width. So I'll just mark 3 inches here like this. And that 3 inches, after marking that 3 inches, this pattern, I'm using it for the back and the front. That 3 inches, I'm going to come down for the front pattern. I'm going to come down with, it's not up to 1 inch, almost 1 inch. So I'm just going to create a curve here for the front one like this. And then for the back one, I'm just going to come down with half of an inch. So that will be for the back neckline. So I hope you understand what I'm trying to do. So now let me cut out some part of this pattern so it's not confusing. Okay, so I've got, so this is the yoke now and the neckline part. So this whole part now is not included. Let me just cut it out neatly so you will see. So you can see that it is looking like what we have on the picture, right? So now this pattern, like I said, it is for the back and the front. So I'll open it up so I can take out the back pieces. That's the back part. So the back part, I'm not even supposed to cut my back part. So I'm going to take it back into it. The back is not supposed to have a yoke. So I'm just going to gum it back. Okay, so like I said, I mistakenly cut out the back and the back. So I'm going to, this was how it was before. So I'm just going to cut it like this. So for the back, I'll cut out the back neckline now. So the back neckline is the high one. That's this first one on top. I hope you can see what I'm doing. So I'll take out the back. So this is the back now. I'll just gum it back. So I don't want to add a yoke to the back. So that is why I am not taking this off. But if you want to add a yoke to the back, you can just cut it just this way. I cut it and then you place it. But mine is going to just run straight like this. No yoke on it. So the back is going to be straight. I'm just going to add a zip here. So I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, so for the front is going to have, so it's the front that we're taking out the yoke from. So you remember our yoke? So now just cut it off. Just the way I cut it before. So now I've cut it out. So the neckline part, I'm going to take out the small neckline. I've taken out the neckline and then the yoke, I'll take it is separated. So I'll take this out from this. So you can see it is separate. So now we have the yoke. So for this now, I'm going to try to tighten the top chest part of my pattern so it can become a bustier. I don't want it to leave it flat like this. So in doing that, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use half of my bust pan measurement, which I'm using 9 inches. Half is 4.5. I'll mark that 4.5 all across on my pattern like this. And then I'll connect it with my straight ruler like this. And then the next thing I'm going to do now, take out my dart. So for the dart, I'm just going to go with 1.5 inches dart. I'll mark 1.5 inches on the right and then I'll mark 1 inches on the left. So I'm just trying to tighten that part. So and then I'll use my curve. Let's make use of this. So I'm trying to connect it. Just pardon my marker, please. Okay, and then this one, I'll connect this one also to this line. Okay, so the next thing now, this on this part, I'm going to do an over bust tightening here on this chest part. So for this part, this top part, I'm going to come with about 1.5 inches. I don't want it to be too tight, which is okay, 1.5 inches. And then on this left hand side, I'm just going to go with 1 inch. So that 1 inch will automatically land me here for this side. And then this one is 1.5. So I'm just trying to curve this into this like this. And then this one, I'll connect this one back to the bust points like this. I hope you can see. So you can see automatically it's looking like a bustier now, right? So you can see that is how simple this is. So these lines, I'm going to extend my dart line. So I'm not going to extend them straight. Because it is a straight blouse. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to extend them into the waist area like this. So at the end of the day, you can see we have our bustier pattern here. So this is that depth, the chest part that is deep. And then So at the end of the day, you can see what we have. So I'm going to place this now so you understand, so you can see how it is looking. So you can see it looks like what we have on the picture already. See, that is how simple it is to actually achieve this. So like I said, for the back, I'm not adding a yoke. So at the back, I'm just running it straight. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to transfer all of this to my fabric and my lining, and then I'll come back and show you. Okay, so you can see I finished cutting. I've cut my fabric, I've cut my lining. So the next thing, and then even my fabric, I've ironed my interfacing, that's the chest part. I ironed it around the chest part. So for this center part, I'm going to stitch. I did not cut it open. You can decide to cut it open. So I'm going to stitch it close because I'm going to use the space for my boning. I want to add the boning to the center. And then this part, I'm going to stitch this like this. So I'll just show you how to stitch, okay? So I'm going to stitch it like this. So I'm actually going to start stitching from the top, so you can start stitching from the down. Most times, okay, let's stitch from down. Stitching from down is usually easier. So I'll just stitch it from the down like this, and then I'll get to the top point. So I'll go and do that, and then I'll bring it back and show you how to add the boning to it. So I've not cut out the yoke. I want to finish the bodice first before I'll cut out my yoke. Okay, so you can see I finished stitching. So I'm going to explain what I did now for you. So I'll just use the back. So this is the back piece. So I've joined them on the dart line. So after joining the dart line, so you can see what it is. After joining, I just brought it out, and then let me use my lining piece that I've not done so you understand. So for the front, this is what I did for this front. This is my lining piece. So I just joined them on my dart lines. After joining, for the center piece, I measured my bust pan, and then I opened up my fabric like this. That's the center, and then I stitched it down. Why I did that? To create boning chambers, so you can see. So I just stitched it down. Then this one here, the one on the side, I just pressed it down like this from the top part like this. I did a top stitch like this, and then just used my stitching allowance to create my boning structure. So you can see it is a very simple way of doing boning. So the next thing now, I'm going to pass my boning inside it. So I'll use my normal regular plastic boning. That's what I'm going to use. I'm just going to pass them through. Okay, so that's for that. The next thing now, I'm going to turn with my lining. I've not added my yoke. I don't want to add my yoke. I want to do a top stitch for my yoke. That's after sewing, I'm just going to top stitch my yoke on top of this piece. So that's what I want to do. So that is why, if not, normally I'm supposed to put my yoke and then turn with lining. But for now, I'm just going to take this back now to my machine like this, and then I'm going to go and turn it. So I'll stitch it on this neck side and then stitch it on the down part, and then all around. So the only part where I'm going to leave is just a little bit, which is my armhole. So I'll do that and then turn the same thing for my back piece. And then after that, I'll iron everything, and then I'll come and show you how to attach the yoke to it. Okay guys, so I have finished stitching, so I'm going to show you what I have now. So you can see the front part. See, this is my front piece, and then this at the back. So the next thing now, I'm going to cut out the yoke. I'm going to cut out the yoke for the front. So this is my yoke originally. So this is how the shoulder will run. You know, this is the addition 2 inches that we added. So I'm going to fold it along this shoulder, let it intercept on the actual shoulder line. Okay, so I'll open this up and then I'll place on my fabric. So I want to use this part for the yoke. So I'll cut 2 pieces out right now. So you can see what I have. So I've cut out my yoke, so you can see. So I'm even placing it already. You can see it is looking beautiful already on this. So the next thing now, what I'm going to do, I'll go and cut out. I want to double it since I'm going to do it as a top stitch. I don't want to use lining. So I'll sew it and turn it, and then after sewing and turning, I'll just place it here, stitch the shoulder part, and then this one I'll just use a straight stitch to stitch it, because I'm going to cut out all of this and then use it just to embellish this. So I'll go and do everything that I've explained to you now, and then come back and show you the final look. So after that, I'm just going to use my blouse measurement. I'll just stitch the side of my blouse together. Okay. Okay, guys, so you can see how my dress is looking. So it came out really fine. So this is the neckline, this is the back. Okay, so I'm going to place it on the mannequin now for you to see the final look. So these are my boning chambers, so you can see the center is looking fine. For the sleeve, I'm not adding that sleeve on the original picture. I'm just going to use a tool for my sleeve. So I'll place this now for you to see how it looks. Okay, guys, so at the end of the day, you can see how our inbuilt neckline blouse looks like. It actually came out really fine. So I like the outcome of it. So thank you so much. If you find this video helpful, please hit on the like button. If you have not subscribed to this channel already, please subscribe. Thank you so much. I'll see you in my next video.